Hi, for this assignment, I'm going to be answering some literary analysis questions pertaining to William Shakespeare's Sonnet 12 and William Wordsworth's We Are Seven. I'm going to be doing this assuming you have read the poems and are familiar with them. The first three questions will deal with William Shakespeare's Sonnet 12. The next four will deal with William Wordsworth's We Are Seven poem, and the final question is my personal opinion on the two poems. First question, how does Shakespeare portray the passage of time in his poem, Sonnet 12? And Shakespeare shows the passage of time in several different ways, and he speaks of clocks, the transformation of night into day, and wilting flowers at harvest. Shakespeare references hair silvered or with white. No one grows younger. We grow older, and there is no way to reverse this process. Hair does not go from white to brown, it goes from brown to white. Shakespeare also speaks of the passage of time through his example of the changing seasons. Summer's green, all girded up in sheaves, is an example of the irreversible change of the seasons. Summer never turns to spring or winter, it turns to autumn. Shakespeare is asserting that time is like the seasons. They change and pass and go forward, and there is no way to change or reverse the process. Second question, when Shakespeare says, and nothing against time's scythe can make defense, save breed to brave him when he takes thee hence, what is he saying? Who's taking him hence? And to where is he being taken? Shakespeare is driving home the point that there's almost nothing to be done in resisting the waste of time. The only thing that he says is to be done is to reproduce. He suggests that we can leave nothing in the passage of time except our children. Time is scything him down. It's taking him away to death. Shakespeare is telling the reader that the only mark that will stand against the passage of time and death is children. Final question about Shakespeare's Sonnet 12. What three colors are mentioned in Sonnet 12, and what is their overall involvement in the poem? Shakespeare's poem Sonnet 12 contains three different colors. It mentions sable curls that change to white. It also speaks of summer's green. Interestingly, the first two colors symbolize the aging of humans. They symbolize how young hair is brown while old hair is white. The third color, green, symbolizes the bounty of food that summer brings. Summer is a time when everything grows and is alive. The crops which people rely on for food are abundant and green. The colors give the poem a warm, growing mood. People grow from brown to white, and crops are green as they mature. These colors symbolize the growth and passage and development of life. Now moving on to the questions about William Wordsworth's poem, We Are Seven. How does William Wordsworth create eeriness at the beginning of We Are Seven, and is it effective? And Wordsworth creates a feeling of eeriness in the first line of We Are Seven through the contrast he draws. He contrasts a young child who feels its life in every limb with the question of whether it should know of death. It is an unsettling question. It is effective because a young being with its life before it in full health should know little of death. Next question, what are the author and the young girl discussing in the poem, and where are her siblings? The poem centers around the question of sisters and brothers, little maid, how many may you be? Her siblings are spread around. Two are in Wales and two others are at sea. The other two siblings in the churchyard lie. When the math is done, she had 7 in total, counting the 2 who are dead in the churchyard. The total number living is 5, not 7. The author and the girl spend most of the time of the poem arguing, however, with the author trying to convince the girl she has 4 siblings, while she defends the belief that she has 6 siblings. And does the time period, second to final question, does the time period of this poem have any significance as to why her two siblings died? We Are Seven was written by William Wordsworth in 1798. There was no major epidemics in that year. However, medicine was still very primitive in that time. There was no antibiotics, and vaccination was only developed in that very year. Therefore, it is unsurprising that the little girl had lost two siblings to illness. What I find most interesting, personally, however, is that the little girl mentions two of her siblings are gone to sea. France, with Napoleon Bonaparte as its leader, was trying to invade Europe. Britain was France's greatest foe, especially on the sea. It is likely that the girl's two siblings were sailors in the Royal Navy, perhaps even fighting in the decisive Battle of the Nile. Next question. What is the rhythm created in the poem as each line is read, and how many lines are in each stanza? Wordsworth's poem, We Are Seven, is written in the form of a ballad. It contains 17 stanzas. The first 16 stanzas uniformly contain 4 lines with a rhyming pattern of A, B, A, B. The final stanza breaks from this with 5 lines and a rhyming scheme of A, B, C, C, B. The first line of the 17th stanza, but they are dead, those two are dead, is put there as the climax of the poem. The author put it there without rhyming it to interrupt the flow of the poem. Sometimes when we read a longer poem like this one, we get carried away by the music of the words and miss what is being said. By inserting this line that does not rhyme, Wordsworth interrupts the flow of the poem and draws attention to the specific, important line. The last question is, which of the two poems did I enjoy the most? And of the two poems, I enjoyed Sonnet 12 by William Shakespeare the most. Primarily, I like the form and structure of his poem. It also touches upon deeper things than Wordsworth's poem does. He actually asks about human remembrance and importance in the face of ever-moving time. Wordsworth, on the other hand, talks about an innocent child who does not yet fully understand the meaning of death. Shakespeare's subject and presentation is also much deeper than Wordsworth's. Shakespeare's form was more enjoyable, and I personally liked that he was able to communicate so much in so short a poem. Wordsworth, on the other hand, draws out his poem into a long, large, lengthy 17-stanza ballad. His poem almost seems long-winded. Finally, I like Shakespeare's diction and the way he says one thing, but is talking about two things. An example is when he speaks of harvest girded up in sheaves, borne on the bier with white and bristly beard. He is talking about sheaves of harvest being transported in a cart. He's also talking of a dead old man with a beard, wrapped in a shroud and being borne on a cart. There's a double meaning here. This is why, along with the diction, brevity, and depth, I like Shakespeare's Sonnet 12 more than Wordsworth's We Are Seven. Thank you.